So the two topics, the way we've broken them up today is how what's going on, right now with the world in disarray and a little confusion and things happening. How is now is a good test of family governance. And then Steve, wrote a recent blog post article called The 5 Silver Linings of Crisis. And when he showed it and shared it with Ella and I, we're like, oh yeah, that's perfect. We'll just jump right into that. So, Steve, why don't you just kick us off here? How do you say, how is what's happening right this moment, a good test of family governance? What do you mean by that?
Well, so that was an idea that came to me. I actually wrote a blog 2 weeks earlier called the Pandemic as a Test of Your Family Governance. But that all comes from our friend, Jim Grubman. So we know Jim Grubman well. He's a fellow of the Purposeful Planning Institute. He was on a webinar a few weeks ago up here in Canada for the family enterprise advisors like myself. And he had mentioned that, during this crisis, some families are realizing that it is testing their family governance. Now, so what does that mean? That means that things that we kind of thought or assumed were structured in a certain way, all of a sudden, some crisis hits and people in the family realize that, oh, wait a sec, I was making some assumptions about certain things and what would happen or how things are structured. And now all of a sudden something has hit and my uncle or my brother or my cousin is making a certain decision that maybe I thought I should have a say in, or things are happening and I'm not included. And so people are realizing, hey, wait a sec, we might not have everything structured in an optimal way. And so this raises the opportunity to sort of start to ask questions and see what is our current governance? Have we been paying enough attention to it? And do we need to sort of tweak it and now find new ways to re-involve people who now have concerns? So it's, hey, wait a sec, it's a reality check. And now what do we do with it? And maybe we have some time to address this subject now because of the way we're now working and opportunities to do it that we wouldn't have had before.
Great. For anybody that doesn't understand or hasn't heard the phrase before, family governance is how are we making decisions as a family? What is the process for doing that? And, one of the things that I think it's really important, Steve, and I'm just, as you're saying it, it just kind of clicked again for me, is that family governance is a process all in itself. Where you are in terms of what you're doing in governance today is not where you're going to be 5 years from now, as long as you're working that muscle. It's like working out. You have to continually have the conversations and add to it. Ella, would you mind jumping in there? What are your thoughts?
We're seeing a lot of stress testing for families in a governance scenario, and it is myopic because there are families that thought they had really good governance that were in play and might have missed things like a global pandemic, which many people never thought about planning for. And so the health and welfare components have really bifurcated from the aspect of like, is the business actually running? Do we have the tools, systems, and structures in place? And we're really worried about the patriarch or the matriarch or those who are immunocompromised. Is all happening here. And then what we're also hearing from our clients is this, the rising generation or the ones coming up where even if you are in control, you might be like, forget it, I don't want to do this work anymore. And my only two succession options are death or preparing someone to lead this. So what are you doing and how can we utilize the technology that is actually allowing this to happen, where our business continuity and our family government can continue? But we need to make sure we don't stop and unlearn what we've discovered when the world goes back to normal. This is like such a critical time to really take on the learning and the curiosity to make the system better.